All right, so I had a great day today. Went to Michigan Adventures with the family. Got to just have some fun, mowed the lawn, what every father loves to do, right? Like just loves mowing the lawn. Took a shower, and then I come back and I come down to record, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that we are going to owe money to Cam Sutton after everything that he did? We are going to be on the hook and have to pay this guy. So the Lions really, I got home to some disturbing news. The writing was on the wall with this one. We kind of knew it was coming, but at the same time, it's like, are you kidding me? So in this video, I want to give you some explanation of what we could owe him. And is the whole $10.5 million still up? It possibly is, but at the same time, not all of that right now, and it could be none of it still. So we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to do a reminder of what he did, how we handled it, and the one thing that really just really grinds my gears over this entire situation. All right. So as you know, the Lions released Sutton earlier in the offseason. He had domestic battery charges. He was on the run for quite some time. In fact, when you look at it, this article on March 31st of 2024 had said that Cam Sutton had been on the run and they had been unable to locate Sutton since March 7. Now, he knew he had a warrant out for his arrest. The Lions did not. He was in the Lions facility. So when they found out about it, the Lions said, you need to go turn yourself in. They couldn't just walk him to a jail because it happened in Florida, okay? And he was up in Detroit or Allen Park. So that's not how it works. This was the statement by the sheriff. After weeks of evading law enforcement, that's strong language, this man has finally made the right choice to turn himself in. He later said domestic violence has no place in our community and no one is above the law here in Hillsborough County. Don't love that, by the way. Nobody is above the law. We know you're arresting him. Like, we get it. You don't have to tell us that just because you're rich and just because you're famous doesn't mean you can commit a felony. We understand that. Here's the problem. The Detroit Lions met with Sutton. It even says in this article where Rod Wood said, we suggested he get counsel and do the right thing to turn himself in, Wood told the TV station. After that, we met the rest of the day and the following morning to decide to release him. So the Lions took time on this one. They took about a day and they decided to release him. They did the right thing. You can't have a guy that, number one, commits domestic battery or assault or whatever the charges was exactly. I don't know what the wording is in Florida, right? You can't have that guy on your team, but at the same time, you also need to let him go because he is actively evading the police. Like, there's no doubt about that. So you had to release him. But then you have this $10.5 million salary that was still guaranteed. Now, if a player ends up in jail or is convicted of a felony, like, you are not going to need to pay all of that necessarily. But this week we got a little more information. All right, as initially reported, the Lions voided Sutton's guarantees, meaning his $10.5 million would come off the books June 1. The release was also given a June 1 designation. But according to Jason Fitzgerald of Over the Cap, Sutton is planning to file a grievance with that decision, which is well within his right, and it also changes the Lions' cap commitment to him. So here's what Jason says. I was told he either filed or plans on filing a grievance. All right, sorry, I went actually to the spot itself, which is not something we needed to do. All right, which is 40% of the number charged to the cap pending an outcome. So that 40% of the contested salary ends up being $4.2 million. $4.2 million. All right, in this case, on the books, until a decision is made in arbitration or until the end of the season, combined with the $2.18 million in signing bonus, proration the Lions are on the hook for regardless. Sutton will count a total of $6.38 million against the cap once his grievance is filed. Over the cap's total salary cap number reflects those additional cap hits. All right, so let's take a look at it. because it does reflect those cap hits, at least some of them. 4.2 million is what we're seeing right here on Over the Cap in dead money, which now makes him the second highest or the second most dead money going against it. Why is this frustrating to me? I'm going to tell you why this is frustrating to me, and I'm just going to let you take a look at this and see if you can figure it out. All right, just take a second. Take a second. Look at it. What are we seeing? What are we seeing? What we are seeing is a guy basically making the league minimum to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, to go back to where he was, and the Steelers get to have him for $985,000 with no cap hit if he doesn't make the roster, and we're left holding a bag that we have to give him. That sucks. I don't like that. We did the right thing, and now the Steelers get to have a guy for pennies on the dollar, at least a dime on the dollar. How about that? Based on what we were giving him, they got him for a dime on the dollar. And we're sitting here and we just may need to pay him all of his $10 million. So what happens if he ends up getting this arbitration? What does that look like? Well, basically what that looks like is how do I want to put it? If he wins, we end up paying him the money. All right. If he doesn't win the arbitration and we end up getting it, then that money will be put back on our salary cap next year, if that makes sense. So it's gone this year, though, or until that actually happens, the outcome of the arbitration, which can sometimes take 1 year, over 1 year to complete. The Lions' cap will be adjusted in the future to reflect the decisions. If they rule in the Lions' favor, the cap will recoup the cap space next year. If the arbiter rules in favor of Sutton and awards the player more than $4.2 million, the difference will be taken from the Lions' future cap. So the Lions could end up having another $6 million on the cap next year if the arbitrator says, no, he deserves all of his guaranteed money. He deserves it all. You prematurely cut him. We might have to give all $10 million, which would actually hurt us next year. I'd rather have it off the books this year, if I can be honest. So I'm not sure what that looks like for the Lions, but that's just kind of where I'm sitting. So, yeah, I think it's frustrating news. I think it's a little disturbing, but at the same time, we're still sitting good. When you look at our overall salary cap, over the cap, they were saying $30 million. I see team cap space of $34 million. That still gives us enough money if we want to go in and sign a free agent, if we want to bring in, that gives us plenty of money in case someone gets hurt during, training camp, in case we want to upgrade a position. I know everybody's talking T. Higgins, right? There's a ton of safeties out there, which I think we're actually better off at safety than most people think. And maybe I'll do another video on why that makes sense. But anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at. Just wanted to get that out there for everybody to see. A little frustrating, but hey, at least we can rest assured that the Lions did the right thing. And they said, Cam, you shouldn't be here. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.